Like seriously, why do men feel the need to lie about some things just to impress a woman?
Men, we can't live without them, yet still can't live with them.
Men, why we hate them.
I paused for a minute, taking a deep breath when I reached the door. Was I really about to commit murder? My heart was badly broken, and I was hurt, but I wasn't ready to spend the rest of my life in jail for murdering the idiot. Scenes of him having pleasurable moments with his ex flashed through my head again. My eyes began welling up in tears. I was angry that I couldn't kill him and get away with it. I wanted him to feel the hurt I felt. The doorbell rang again, interrupting my thoughts. I reluctantly walked back to the kitchen to return the knife. I went to answer the door afterwards. Just as I had suspected, it was him. He smiled at me when I opened the door, but I could tell he was a little uneasy, especially because I didn't return the smile as usual. He did a good job trying to cover up, but I could read him like a book. "Did you forget something?" I finally asked, standing at the door. "I think I left my phone," he said, looking over my shoulders towards the sofa. He was going to try to get past me, then I pulled out the phone from my back pocket and handed it over. "Here you go," I said, hitting the phone on his chest and studying his reaction. I had decided to keep everything to myself. I didn't want to confront him, so he wouldn't know I had gone through his phone.
Phew. Thank God Sonia didn't do anything crazy there. My heart was actually beating because I thought she was actually going to do something stupid. But seriously, do you think she should have confronted him? What would you have done if you were in that situation? Let's know in the comment section down below. Back to the story.
Nonso was the kind of guy that wouldn't admit anything till he was caught in the act. And even when he always did everything to twist the story. In this case, the only evidence I had against him was on his phone. And he had mentioned several times that he hated it when people went through his phone without permission. I knew that if I told him what I had just seen, he'd probably lie about everything and start focusing on the fact that I went through his phone instead and use that against me. He had done it many times in the past successfully, so I decided to play it cool till I could come up with a better plan to catch him red-handed. It was really weird how he had a strong hold on me that even I couldn't explain. I don't know if it was because he was the first and only man I had ever slept with, but I just couldn't seem to say no to him. I couldn't stand to see him hurt or sad. A lot of times, even when I knew I was right and he was clearly wrong, I let him have his way, just so peace would reign. I looked at him in disgust while I waited for him to turn back and head home. I'm sure that from my reaction, he figured there was something wrong. "Are you okay?" he asked, looking guilty and concerned at the same time. "I'm okay," I said, keeping a straight face. "I'm just tired." I could tell he wasn't convinced, but knew better than to ask further questions. "I have to go now, I'm late for my appointment," he said, giving me a peck on the cheek and dashing off. I cried my eyes out when he left and made up my mind to deal with him at the appropriate time. Later that evening, I called my best friend Sheun and told him all that had happened. Of everything that I had discovered, it was the video with his ex that bothered me the most. "Why do you think he slept with her?" I asked him. "There are many reasons he could have done that," Sheun began. "It's possible he still finds her irresistible, she's very good in bed, or she's giving him something that you're not. But it doesn't change the fact that he loves you." By the time he was done with his sentence, I was even more confused than ever before. I felt like that was the most absurd thing I'd heard all year, especially coming from a guy that didn't cheat on his own girlfriend. It didn't make sense to me that a guy would put his lips on another woman's, get naked in front of her, sleep with her, record it, save it on his phone, and still use the same dirty mouth to say he loved his girlfriend. How on earth is that love? How do guys even do that and look their partners in the eye without feeling guilty? The only thing I was thankful for was the fact that so far I hadn't gotten any sexually transmitted infections. I made up my mind that I was never making the mistake of sleeping with him without protection again. No matter how horny you feel, never have unprotected sex with your partner, especially if the person sleeps around. There are many STIs out there, and a lot of people that have them may not even be aware, because some STIs don't have any symptoms, while others have symptoms like sores in the genital area, discharge from the penis, foul-smelling discharge from the vagina, and pain during sex. Make sure to see a doctor for treatment if you experience any of these symptoms. And also, make sure your sexual partner gets tested and treated, or else you stand a chance of getting the infection again. After hanging out with Sheun, I went into Detective Sonia mode. I decided to set a trap to catch Nonso myself. That way, he wouldn't be able to deny anything. I created a new Facebook account using a picture of a random beautiful African girl I saw online. I named her Kinga. Afterwards, I quickly put a couple of other random pictures, including one of a group of girls posing at a party, and captioned it Friends for Life. Then I updated all the other details with fake info and made my privacy settings as tight as possible, so that even my Facebook friends couldn't see how many friends I had or view any photos I was tagged in. When my fake account was ready, I started a conversation with him. I sent him a message saying I was a Kenyan babe who had just been transferred to Nigeria by my company and was looking to make new friends. I waited patiently for him to reply. Part of me knew he would reply. I figured it would be difficult for him to resist the beautiful girl on the profile picture. The other part of me prayed he wouldn't, because it would break my heart if he did. Unfortunately, in less than 2 hours, he replied saying he thought I was cute and would love to have a Kenyan babe as beautiful as I was as a friend. That was how a 3-hour-long chat started between Nonso and Kinga. Along the line, he sent a friend request and I accepted. Then he complained that I didn't have enough pictures of me on Facebook and requested I uploaded more or send some to him personally. I told him I wasn't a picture person, but promised to try. I took the bold step to ask if he had a girlfriend. I cannot even begin to explain how fast my heart was beating while I waited for the response. I had hoped that he'd at least admit he had a girlfriend or something, but he denied blatantly and went ahead to say he was looking for one. At that point, I had had enough, but I still needed more concrete proof. So I kept playing along. The conversation went from cordial to dirty, and at one point, he was even requesting for nudes, but I promised to send him some after our first meeting. I guess that must have motivated him because he merely asked for my phone number and set up a meeting at a hotel restaurant the next day. I told him that I hadn't had time to get a SIM card yet, but would appreciate if he could assist me in getting one when we met, and he agreed. That was how a date with Kinga was set for 6 p.m. after work the next day. I still needed to trap him, so the next day, I called him around 5 p.m. and asked if we could go see a movie together. Not today, babe, I'm working late. I have a deadline to meet. We'll go tomorrow, I promise, he said. I offered to come to his office to wait till he was done so we could catch the last movie showing, but he said he'd be too tired, so I gave up. Shortly after, he sent a message to Kinga telling her he was on his way to the restaurant, had reserved a table for 2, and was hoping they could spend the night together afterwards. I replied that I was really excited and was looking forward to spending the rest of my nights with my first Nigerian date. An hour later, I walked into the lobby of the 5-star hotel where Nonso had planned to meet Kinga and asked for directions to the restaurant. It was so beautiful. I'm pretty sure the food on their menu must have been very expensive. I couldn't believe he was willing to spend so much on a total stranger when he hadn't even taken me to an ordinary fast food joint in over 3 months. The table he had reserved wasn't too far from the door. I could see him through the glass doors, so I called him on the phone and waited to see what he'd do. At first, he didn't pick. Then when I kept calling, he cut the call and sent a message I read, "In a meeting." I just smiled to myself after reading the message. I logged into Kinga's Facebook and sent him a message saying I was at the hotel lobby and would be with him shortly. He replied saying, "That's great. Can't wait to finally meet you in person." I watched him hurriedly adjust his shirt and tie and waited for a few more minutes before walking into the restaurant. He was back in the door and didn't see me walking. I went straight to the table where he was seated and tapped him on the shoulder from behind. "Hi, Nonso. Nice to finally meet you. It's me, Kinga," I said as he turned to face me with confusion and shock written all over his face, like someone who had just seen a ghost.
Yes, if I was Nonso, I'll probably be thinking that I just saw a ghost. Like, how on earth is he going to explain this to Sonia? Like, what kind of lie is he going to tell? I'm actually curious to see what he's going to say, how he's going to explain his way out of it. Have you ever found yourself in a Nonso-Sonia situationship? Has your boyfriend ever been like Nonso? Have you had a cheating partner like Nonso? How did you handle it? How did you feel? Or do you know someone that has experienced it? Share with us in the comments below. Let's discuss while we wait for the next episode. If you're enjoying the story so far and you really don't want to have to wait till the next episode, then there's good news for you. The book is actually available in paperback and ebook format
on Amazon and Seller.
So you just need to go to Amazon and type in Men Why We Hate Them by Olufemi Idowu, and it will bring up the book, and you get to choose whether you want the ebook, paperback, or the audiobook.
For users that don't have access to Amazon, you can download the ebook on seller.co.
And you get to read these and many more exciting titles from yours truly. Men, Why We Hate Them.